Namaskaram, friends. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Friends, welcome back after a long time. And in these series, we have taken up the most important scripture, and that is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, which contains divine words emanating from the lips of God Himself. Its glory is infinite, unlimited. None can really describe it. The Gita contains the essence of all the four Vedas. The thought behind those words is deep and abstruse that even a lifelong constant study doesn't show one the end of it. Every day, the book exhibits a new facet of thought. Hence, the Gita remains eternally new. Gita is an epitome of all the scriptures. The essence of all the scriptures is to be found in it. And it would be no exaggeration indeed if it is called the very storehouse of all scriptural knowledge. For a mastery of the Gita may lead one automatically to a comprehension of the truths contained in other scriptures, and no separate study is required to obtain this knowledge. So, to describe the glory of the Gita, divine sage Vedavyasa says, the Gita alone should be sung, heard, recited, studied, taught, pondered, and assimilated properly and thoroughly. What is the use of collecting other scriptures? For the Gita has emerged directly from the lotus lips of God Vishnu himself. As we know, liberation is the reward of a bath in the Ganga, in the Ganges river. But he who takes a dive into the Gita not only gets liberated himself, also gets the power of liberating others. When the dispenser of liberation, God himself becomes his own, mukti becomes a trifling affair to him. Gita contains 700 verses into 18 chapters. It is an unfathomable ocean of wisdom, an infinite store of knowledge. The greatest of sages engaged in the investigation of truth find their words incapable of explaining its secrets, for its full meaning is known only to Bhagavan Shri Krishna alone. It is a bottomless sea containing endless strata of meaning, just as a diver diving deep into the sea lays his hands on precious gems. Even so, diving deeper and deeper into the secrets of the Gita, the seeker goes on discovering ever new piles of extraordinary gems of ideas. So, what is the primary aim of Gita? Primary aim of the Gita is to lead the jiva to the realization of God. The Gita prescribes means by adopting which man can realize God even while scrupulously performing his worldly duties. Now, what we'll do is we will slightly go back to the story, uh, you know, uh, how the Gita came into existence. So, Dhritarashtra was son of Ambika and Pandu was son of Ambalika. Dhritarashtra married Gandhari. He was blind by birth and they had 100 sons, Duryodhana, Dushasana, etc. and a daughter Dushala. Pandu married Kunti who had one son Karan from sun god and Madri. Kunti invoked gods with her worship and got three sons: Yudhishthira, known as son of Dharam, Bhim, known as Pavanputra, and Arjun, known as son of Indra, from his first wife, that is Kunti, and Nakul and Sahadev, known as Ashwin Putras, from his second wife. The five sons of Pandu were known as Pandavas, and 100 sons of Dhritarashtra known as Kauravas. King Dhritarashtra Kauravas were rulers of Hastinapur, and King Yudhishthira Pandavas of Indraprasth. Pandavas were very righteous, and they performed many Rajasuya Yagyas. Prince Duryodhan, son of Dhritarashtra, always carried a jealousy against Pandavas, and seeing their prosperity, he joined hands with Shakuni Mama, brother of Gandhari, to play a game of dice where he deceitfully defeated Pandavas and deprived them of all their wealth and kingdom. Finally, it was settled that the Pandavas would undergo exile of 12 years and another 1 year of exile to remain incognito. In case Kauravas become successful in finding them, they would again undergo similar exile in forest. However, Pandavas successfully completed their term of exile and remained incognito for 1 year. After that, when they came back to get back their kingdom, Duryodhana refused to return kingdom, even after much persuasion by the learned elders. Duryodhana refused to give land equal to even the point of needle without war. This ultimately gave way for great Mahabharata war. Both the parties started preparing for war. Lord Krishna came on the side of Arjuna, whereas his Narayani Sena on Duryodhana's side. When both the sides had thoroughly prepared to start the battle, the sage Vedvyas told Dhritarashtra that he would give divine vision so that he could see entire details of the war. But Dhritarashtra refused, but suggested to give divine vision to his trusted aide Sanjay, who would recite to him the various happenings of war. In the meantime, the war between the Kauravas and Pandavas started and continued for 10 days, when the great Bhishma was thrown down from his chariot and lay on the bed of arrows. At this point, Sanjay went to Dhritarashtra and announced the fall of great Bhishma. Greatly saddened with the news, he requested Sanjay to narrate each and every detail of the incident, starting from the beginning till then. Then here begins the first chapter of the Gita with first verse, Dhritarashtra asking Sanjaya. So we will. So friends, we will start with chapter 1. And before we start chapter 1, I would like to inform everyone that, I have taken very few verses, which I found them most important, chapter wise, in each chapter. Of course, chapter 1 doesn't have any yoga, and it is devoted to the dejection of Arjuna. So very few verses, obviously, from chapter 1 I have taken. That doesn't mean that other verses are not important or they are less important than these ones. But in order to emphasize on the most important verses, I have chosen very few. So, friends, we'll start with the first verse, which I have taken uh, from Bhagavad Gita. And interestingly, Bhagavad Gita, although it is full of knowledge of all the three yogas, that is Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Karam Yoga, yet, and it has emanated from the lips of God Himself. Yet the first verse starts from the name of Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra asking Sanjay, come here, tell me, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do? So Dhritarashtra starts. So remember, Bhagavad Gita starts with Dhritarashtra. Now Dhritarashtra asks Sanjay, "What did my sons of Pandu do?" Because when he came to know about the fall of Bhishma Pitama also, he was on bed of arrows. Then he called. He was so confident earlier that he knew that his side Kauravas only are going to win because of Dronacharya, Bhishma Pitama. No person on earth could defeat them. He was so confident. So he didn't care about, first 10 days of the war when it was going on to ask Sanjay and, what is happening. So after that, Sanjay narrated each and everything from beginning. What happened? So what had happened was that Lord Krishna, Arjuna had asked Lord Krishna to take his chariot in middle of the armies, middle of the two armies, so that he could see who are all the kinsmen he is going to fight. So we'll see uh, in the next verse. So Arjuna says, Krishna, at the sight of these kinsmen, they are all my relations, my grandfather, my uncles, my teachers like Dronacharya, from whom I have learned the art of archery, and I am asked to fight against them. How can I fight? How can I fight them? How can I kill them? My hands totally fail. They are trembling. My hands and arms are trembling, and my hair stands on end. My limbs are giving way. My mouth is parching. I cannot fight. So this was the height of Arjuna's dilemma, dejection of the. This is what happened to his mind, and in fact, this could happen to anyone. This could happen to anyone. Seeing, and he said, "No, no, no! I don't want any wealth. I don't want any kingdom. Let them keep it. So I don't want to fight. I cannot kill my own kinsmen." So totally, Arjuna was emotionally uh, down. He broke down emotionally. Then what he said for later on, what he said, Arjuna said, "It would be better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra killed me while I was unarmed." Now, uh, why did he say unarmed? Means while he was carrying his own arms, no one could kill him. No one could kill Arjuna, the great archer. So he said, while I was unarmed, let someone, kill me so that I get I am absolved of the sin of killing my own kinsman. So this was the height of it. And later on with this, what he did, Arjuna, what did he do? He kept his bow down. His bow was such a strong bow, which was known as Gandiva. He kept his bow down on the chariot, saying that I cannot fight and I will not fight. This is what happened. So first chapter uh, you know, totally describes the dejection and dilemma of Arjuna's mind. He was emotionally totally, he broke down, and his hands were trembling. He could not fight. So, uh, friends, friends, this is what is in chapter 1. Chapter 1 contains that, Arjuna, who was a great warrior, great, archer, and he also had his emotional breakdown on seeing his own kinsmen, his uncles, fellow kings, his grandparents, and teachers. So on seeing Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya, and others, and brothers, his own cousin brothers. So he said he cannot fight, and he kept his bow and arrow down. So this is what is first chapter. In fact, this is the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. And in later chapters, in chapter 2 onwards, we will see how Lord Krishna explains to him how he is wrong. So, friends, we will stop here today now. And again, in next session, we will see uh, chapter 2. Chapter 2 is very important. Chapter 2 is a very lengthy chapter also, and is very important. But we'll quickly go through all the teachings of Lord Krishna in chapter 2. So in chapter 2, in fact, the real teachings, real Gita starts from verse 2.11 and it goes up to 2.30 as far as Jnana Yoga is concerned. He talks about Sankhya Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And 2.39 verse onwards, he touches upon Karam Yoga also in chapter 2. So chapter 2 is so important. So friends, please come back. And I would suggest that you subscribe to this channel so that whenever the video is released, you immediately get the notification that this has come, this next lecture has come, so that you can join us. And one more thing, throughout these lecture series, if you have any questions, I don't consider myself so learned that I can answer everyone, but I will try my level best to answer whatever knowledge, little knowledge I have gathered through the last few years, and I'll definitely come back to you with my answer, with my reply. And please do ask me in the comments section. So you can ask me any question. I will try to give you reply as soon as possible of that. Right? So thank you so much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. May God bless all. Hare Krishna. Namaskar.